Hi, welcome. My name is April Robinson, and I am a PennCAP Academic Counselor. My segment is building a community of support. And so, what that means is helping you, the parent, collaborate with your student on their journey to success. So, let's get right into it. Okay. So, the first thing is supporting your college student, right? How can you best support your college students during this time? It's often challenging to strike a balance between giving students independence and guiding them through making healthy decisions, and especially when or with facing a lot of stress and anxiety. It might take some trial and error, and that's okay, right? Extend yourself some grace during that, but it may take some trial and error to figure out what kinds of support works best for you and your family. And so, as we move forward with the slides, you'll figure out what works for you and what resonates with you. And so take what you need and pass on what you learn. Okay. So the first thing, checking in. So checking in with your student, right? That is really important. Asking those gentle questions, how they're doing today, and those things really do matter, right? Just those really small gestures of like, I'm thinking about you, I care about you, and I'm here with you, and I support you. So all those things that you could think of, all those questions that make a student feel affirmed in that way. Um, Give your student the opportunity to share feelings and ideas with you. They may experience different viewpoints and perspectives, and they may challenge their prior belief system. And so, allowing your student to explore ideas without being judged or feeling like you are being judgmental. Be understanding and compassionate during their transition. Engage in difficult conversations. And so, what I mean that by difficult conversations is just the conversation about how you can better support them or how can you best support them, right? So just the gentle questions. Let's start there. Like, what do you need right now? How can I best support you? Do you have everything you need? So like those questions that really are helping you gauge where they are, and really figuring out where to go from there. So, yes, having those difficult questions. Expect change from your student. So, your student is a college student, right? And so, your students will change. College and the experiences associated with it can affect changes in social or vocational and personal behavior and choices. So, it's a natural and it's inevitable, and it can be inspiring. So, let's embrace it. Lastly, encourage them, or not lastly, but encourage them to reach out to their PennCAP counselors. Yes, us, me, and my fellow colleagues. Please encourage them to reach out to us because we do have a lot of resources for them and a lot of opportunities for them. And so, bridging that gap will be really helpful. Having you on our side will be really helpful as well. So keep that in mind as you're trying to figure out what plan to put together or how you can best support them is also reaching out to us. We can also support you through that as well. And that's what we're doing right now. So just keeping that in mind that like almost encouraging them to reach out to us. This is not on the slide, but I feel charged to say this. Trust your student. College is a time for students to discover who they are, and finding oneself is a very difficult process. And so, trust your student. They'll make decisions. Some will be bad, some will be good, but ultimately, it's decisions that will help them and further them and move them forward. So, trust your student. All right. Start with compassion. So this is really important. Students who are dragging their heels and with planning or motivation and procrastination are likely struggling to adjust to the living at home and learning at home or just a virtual experience altogether. And so they may also be dealing with underlying weakness in executive functioning or mental health challenges that are heightened by these changes. So remember that what may look like lazy cannot be, it doesn't have to be lazy, or it may not be lazy. It could just mean a fear or anxiety or lack of confidence under that surface. So a little empathy and understanding from you, the parents, can go a long way. So keep that in mind to start with compassion as you are engaging with them and collaborating with them on their success. Prioritize the basics. So right now, meeting deadlines and setting into schedules and maybe more important than completing work perfectly. And we know we have Penn students who are the cream of the crop. They're amazing. They're the best. But let's focus on what's important here, which is setting the schedules, meeting deadlines, rather than having crafted the best work of your life. Um, if they are working hard, praise that effort, really. If your child is, or if your student is having a hard time getting started, encourage them to focus on handing in homework without worrying about how well it has been completed. There will be a time to focus on the details once your student has settled into their new environment. Um, Offer praise. Your your students' self-esteem is extremely important right now. If they are working hard, praise them. Praise their effort, regardless of the outcome. For instance, if you might compliment them for finishing one part of the project, rather than emphasizing that all the parts that still need to be done. So again, helping them, affirming them, um, goes a long way for during this time, especially. Encourage collaboration. So when they are living away from home, college students often rely on their peers to work through ideas and make progress on their projects. But now they're living at home, or now they are quarantined in or campus, or not really having that much social engagement. So you might suggest setting up check ins with friends or peers, or even their PennCAP counselors to help them stay on track and feel connected to other learners. If you are open to it, you can also be a source of guidance for them. So, for example, if your student mentions that they are planning to outline a paper, you can let them know that you're welcome to bounce ideas off of you while they work. Um, so, that could be helpful as well. The last thing I want to go over for supporting your college student is helpers, right? Invite others when you can, invite others into that collaboration, to that community, right? Like this is all about the segment, it's all about building a community of support. And so that's not just about you, the parent, that's not just about the student or about the PennCAP counselors, but that's about anybody that can really help. And so I love this quote, looking for look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping, by Mr. Rogers. It's one of my favorite quotes. Um, but it's totally true. Look for the helpers. You will always find someone um, who is willing to help. So seek help if you need it, right? Like tutors, professors, the counselors, coaches may help you and your student collaborate and communicate better. And your student may be more comfortable accepting help from someone they're used to working with in college. So keeping other adults in the loop gives you space to focus on being the parent and not the task maker. So yeah, look for the helpers. You'll always find someone that'll be helping. Um, so now I want to get into something a little bit more. Now I want to get into something different. So, or pivot a little bit. So, some common challenges for students learning at home. So, the first thing is focus, right? The attention deficit that may be going on now that they are fully and exclusively virtual learning, giving all the stressors and losses that many college students are facing or dealing with right now. It's natural that things won't always go smoothly, and so honoring that and not embracing that, but being empathetic to that. um, that is really important. So if your student is having a hard time staying on task, encourage them or break projects into or support them as they break their projects into smaller pieces for themselves, or manageable pieces for themselves, and tackle them one at a time. So they may benefit from this method, right? So the method is breaking up the time, in which you set up a timer for 25 minutes or shorter. for a period of focus. And so they may focus on one task for 25 minutes or less, stop, take a little breather, 5 to 10 minute break, and then go back. If distractions are the problem, consider having your student move the phone out of the room for the time that they're working on a project. They can also try turning off the internet on their computer when they're not using it for work. Procrastination. So to help your student feel motivated, encourage them to alternate between the tasks that they enjoy and tasks that they may want to put off. So that way, something enjoyable is never too far away, right? So they'll always have something. Rewards also work. Your student may plan to get a snack, take a walk, or play a game as soon as they are done a particular task and complete it. Using alarms and reminders or phone reminders to signal that the start and end of the times for work can also be helpful for students who need extra structure. Trouble planning projects. So visual cues are often helpful for students who have a hard time seeing a big picture. You may get your child, or it may be helpful to buy a large whiteboard in their room or wherever their workspace is, so they can see their task. So an oversized calendar or oversized whiteboard, so they can better see their task and plan out their project timelines. Work while your child Work with your student to translate large assignments into a series of smaller tasks that feels manageable for them, and encourage them to budget more time than they think they need for each step, since unexpected challenges could always come up. Frustration. So remind your student that it's normal to get frustrated when tackling difficult projects, especially when the whole family is in a challenging situation, right? The pandemic. Encourage them to take frequent breaks, or get a change of scenery by taking a walk, or switching to a new room in the house, or if they are in school, like switching to a new space up at school. Also, some mindfulness practices can really help your student when they need to cool down, or just like um, get their mind off some things, right? And so some mindful practices that work is like deep belly breathing, maybe some yoga, some meditation, listening to some music that they like listening to, and just taking maybe a nap. There's a lot of things that you can be doing to stay mindful and stay grounded. But just keeping that in mind, that mindful practices can work during their times of frustration. It is also important for your student to really set reasonable goals, like tangible, but also reasonable goals for themselves. So if they're aiming to accomplish too many things in one day, they're bound to feel frustrated when they don't meet that goal. And so really encouraging your student to make those goals that are action planned and really can be achieved, the reality goals, right? The last thing, which is such a real thing that I've been hearing from students, is feeling isolated, right? Being away from their friends, or missing out on major school events like sports or clubs or etc., can be devastating for college students. It is devastating for college students to not get that experience. So give them plenty of leeway and privacy to communicate with their peers, and let them know that you appreciate how hard they're working, how hard they're working, and what they're going through, and how challenging it may be. You can also prioritize some family time, right? So to help your student feel connected or feel like socially involved, even just a dinner, like setting up a nice dinner for each other, or playing a game for an evening, or maybe FaceTiming some extended family, but really helping them get their social engagement and their social connection to feel more grounded, and to remind your students that they're not really alone, right? Like they're not alone. And so they have you, and they have us, and they have a community of pen cappers here that would love to connect with them, virtual or not. So yeah. And lastly, we're going to talk about the Penn Parent resources, right? So hopefully this allows me to click on here. If not, I'll just talk through it. Um, so the Penn Parent uh, guide is a really great resource. And so this is the website, penparents.upenn.edu, which tells you all the things you need to know. So they have links on the website that says what to expect for spring semester, coronavirus updates, housing facts, scholar facts, the Penn parent experience. So um, giving you way more information about what's going on, academic and student life, how to get involved as a parent. But it really does give you like a lot of navigation on resources, but also you as a parent and where you fit in with the pink community. So that's really helpful. And so I hope that you go on this website and do some research and just do some skimming of it to see where where you can take from it and what you can learn from it, which is really important, right? And so I am done. That has concluded my segment, but I really hope that you've taken something from my segment. I appreciate you all tuning into my segment. Again, my name is April Robinson, and I am the academic counselor at PennCAP. And so, if you have any questions, my email is april95@upenn.edu. And thank you so much for joining me today. Bye.